New MacBook Pros.
New iMacs.
New iPad Minis.
New iPad 4s.
Wait, what? I just bought a damn iPad.
And all that coming up on this special Apple event edition of the Infinite Loop Show.
No, wait a minute. Hello, welcome to the Infinite Loop Show, episode number 40. I am Michael Chump Gaines.
And I am also a chump, Casey Coughlin.
Oh, should we save our rants for a little later?
Yes.
Okay, let's save the rants for a little later. And we might as well just go right into the news. Let's talk about what the big news is. Here, I'll just play the damn thing. All right, that's enough of that. So, the big event today was, of course, Apple's announcement that there's new toys. They're new toys.
All the things are new. New all the things.
All right, let's get started. You wrote an extensive list of stuff here. So why don't you start off with the first thing?
So, a lot of rumors came true today, and then some total surprises. Mm-hmm. Like things that weren't even remotely leaked came out. And so that was, I think overall this was an awesome announcement. Because there were still surprises, which we haven't seen in an Apple announcement because of these, massive manufacturing leaks in almost a year. So it was pretty exciting overall. First on the dock, we have new MacBook Pro 13s with Retina display.
Very cool.
I know a few people who, after the last announcement with the Retina 15s and just a kind of revamped 13, not a lot, but a few of my friends, thought, okay, well, that's it. I'll go buy the 13 now. We're totally banging their heads against the desk at this announcement today.
This was the first instance that there may be something wrong, because you were telling me that you had some people at work that were banging their heads on their desk because they announced the 15 a few months ago, and there are no 13s with Retinas, and so everybody I'll just buy a 13. I guess we're not seeing one for a while. Yeah. Because that's what Apple does, is they say, this is what it's going to be in a line. Not necessarily, like if they announce a MacBook Pro, that does not mean, it doesn't usually mean, no, let me back up. If they announce a MacBook Pro,
they don't break up a series.
Yeah,
so if they announce a new MacBook Pro, they're all new. Not one out of the line is new.
Yeah, thank you. So that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be a new Mac Pro or something like that 2 months later, because they've done that. They'll say, well, here's the stuff for the announcement, and 2 months later they'll just announce something new on its own, no fanfare. So you're right, they don't usually break up a line.
Yeah, this was kind of odd. But very similar to the 15 Retina. No optical drive, thinner, lighter, 2 Thunderbolt ports, HDMI, no Ethernet, and no FireWire. Ivy Bridge, i5, and i7 options with the onboard HD 4000 graphics, which I think will be interesting to see how that alone can power the Retina display, because the 15 has the onboard graphics and a discrete card to push all those pixels, but even though the screen's smaller, there's less pixels, it's still pushing 4 times as many pixels as before on the 13-inch screen. So how you're going to do that on the just onboard graphics alone will be interesting to see if this guy ends up being a really hot laptop or not.
Yeah.
I mean, hot as temperature-wise, not hot seller. Again, like the 15, the Retina price point starts to considerably higher than the normal edition with the optical drive. Whereas the normal one starts at $11.99, this new Retina one starts at $16.99.
Yeah, so you're dropping an optical drive, which nowadays costs like $3, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, and you're getting a Retina display. So I don't know. Do you think that's a decent amount for a $500 difference? seems a little high to me because I would think that
It feels like it again, was kind of more worth it on the 15. Because the 15 is truly like a beast of a machine.
sure.
The discrete graphics card is way better. Just and whereas this is almost as good. It just I'm afraid like the missing dedicated graphics card is really going to hurt either performance or have heat issues or something. I just don't know how well this is going to perform. If it's probably not going to be a great gaming machine, for sure. But it'll be like a just a nice, okay machine.
Yeah.
In which case, why not just get the regular 13? I don't know. Now I'm just second guessing the whole thing. But those things start shipping today, so you can buy those as soon as you hear this.
Okay. New Mac Mini has been announced. We sort of expected this too. There hasn't been a bump to that in a while. Ivy Bridge i5 and i7 again with the HD 4000. Now for this, with the see, I'm not a laptop gamer. You said that this may or may not, the HD 4000 may or may not be good for gaming. On a 13-inch machine, I can't see a lot of people doing some high-end gaming anyway, unless you're talking about powering a second monitor. But for a Mac Mini, this to me also screams not a big gaming machine.
No.
I would think
Yeah.
that you would want to get an iMac if you want to get something decent. Like World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2 on this machine, they scream on this machine.
Yeah. That on my a year, maybe 2 years ago now, I had a 13, and I think the most I was able to play was WoW around low to mid settings, which I think will probably still be very doable. I mean, you can play WoW on the 11-inch Air, and that has like no graphics, but
WoW was built that way, yeah.
right. WoW is very forgiving. I don't think you're going to be playing Crisis on it. No.
No.
So it depends on what kind of gaming, you're doing, obviously. And again, depending on the game and depending on the graphics setting, like, okay, yeah, maybe you can play it on low graphics if you're okay with that. But yeah, and the Mac Mini has never really been a gaming machine or graphics heavy machine either. It's just
No.
kind of like your low budget, just to get by desktop, and also a huge favorite for home theater PCs. So I think really the most intensive thing at least the $599 version ever does is power a big screen TV.
Yeah.
So
and they're keeping FireWire around. Now, for me, Tim Cook would say, well, get out of the 20th century. But I still have a couple of devices that use FireWire. In fact, our friend Eric, his Alesis mixer uses FireWire also. And that was back at the time when FireWire was still gaining momentum. Now everything is USB 3. So what do you think about FireWire being kept around? Why would you put that in a Mini?
It's weird to me. It's almost like we just had some extra space on the back, so why the hell not? We had space for the port, so let's just throw it in there because I think now the Mac Mini and, well, aside from the Mac Pro, obviously, are the only one that still has FireWire. Everything else is moving to, like you said, either USB 3 or Thunderbolt.
Yeah, well, this 27-inch iMac has a FireWire 800 port, and I use, I can't even, the only reason why I use it is for those that have been listening, my Mac Pro that died, I'm copying stuff over piecemeal, so every now and then I go, oh yeah, I needed that file, and I'll just fire this thing up in target disk mode.
Oh
copy it
yeah,
over.
because I don't think you can do or pull anything across Target. I think Target Disk Mode only works across FireWire, unless I'm wrong. Unless they changed that. That was always the case before. So unless they've also included Thunderbolt recently because they're getting rid of FireWire, traditionally that's always been the case. Or maybe they've just done away. I haven't done anything in Target Disk Mode in at least a couple of years.
All right, so
So
I'm looking at Apple support. No, you can't do target disk mode in USB 2.
right.
There are other ways that you can do it. You can connect over a network, and in fact,
Really, I didn't think
well,
you
yeah.
could do
Well,
that.
see, then again, like this machine, this Mac Pro that died on me, it has a dead video card, which I didn't feel like spending the money to replace. For those that haven't been keeping up with the story, but because the
It's an
thing
epic story.
because the thing does have a working operating system on it, all the drives are mounted over my network. But
Oh,
I don't want to have to go through the process of booting it every time and then have to like figure out how to shut it down. So I just put it in disk mode. So there are ways to get to your hard drive if something goes wrong.
yeah, and with Lion and Mountain Lion especially, being network bootable, it almost feels like they might be doing away with target disk mode anyways in lieu of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it
Possibly.
might not even be an issue anyways.
Yeah. I guess it's just one way that you can copy stuff off of it if you need to. That might be
Yeah.
why they keep it around. Now, the new iMac 21 and 27-inch machines. I do not feel bad about this, even though I just bought this iMac. But what's the big deal about these?
These were really kind of the star of the show. There were some at the beginning of the event, there was some little whispers that there might be a new iMac announced, and then they started going over the history of the iMac and we're like, okay, we're getting a new iMac, let's see it. This was a complete redesign of the case. It looks way different. It is like stupid thin for a starter.
5 millimeters
The
at the
case-
corner.
It kind of has that wedge shape, so the very back middle of it is the fattest point, which I think is the same thickness as the current iMac. They just taper off all the edges, so at the edges it's ridiculously
Okay.
razor thin. And they took out the optical drive, so that's how they're able to taper it that much thinner. No Retina display, but it is IPS. So, but I think the overall resolution for the 21.5 and 27 inches is actually the same resolution. It doesn't look too bad. Updated Ivy Bridge i5 and i7 options. 4 USB 3.0 ports. They mentioned better speakers, but that'll probably need, I guess, testing.
I don't
to
know
really,
if I believe that. We'll
yeah,
see.
I mean, it's not like, the speakers in the iMacs, they've always been like so.
Mm-hmm.
And then another kind of surprise, a new Apple Fusion drive,
This is intriguing. So
a proprietary hybrid drive, right, with 128 SSD coupled with your choice of 1 terabyte or 3 terabytes traditional drive.
the cool thing about this Fusion drive, and the technology itself of a hybrid drive is not new, but what they do with this is very new. What they do is the operating system looks at what you run most often and starts moving stuff between the SSD and the standard HDD versions or portions of the hard drive. So, for example, if you're firing up Safari all the time, and me, I'm using all the software, GarageBand and such, to do all these podcasts, it'll start taking those and automatically start moving all the software over to the flash version of the I said the word version again, flash portion of the drive, and then it'll keep the lesser used stuff over on the old HDD portion of the drive. I love this. I wish I could have this thing in my system, but I can't. But it's okay.
Yeah, I'd really like to see some benchmarks on this. I have a Seagate hybrid drive in my MacBook Pro right now, and I was really thinking that I get at least a kind of considerable boost out of it, or something that was a little tangible. And I don't know if it's not big enough to really say, oh, that's the drive or that's Mountain Lion,
I
because
see.
Mountain Lion does start up faster. And I switched them right about the same time Mountain Lion came out. So it's hard to say if it's really the drive that's giving me the bonus or just an updated OS and more efficient software.
Yeah.
I'd like I said, I'd like to see some tests on this. If this is as smart as it is, and I hope it is, then this is a huge win for Apple and kind of a good fix because it looks like this new iMac has really gone the way of the Retina MacBooks, where you're not going to be updating or replacing any of these parts after you buy this
Nope.
machine. Not
That's
even
it.
RAM, nothing. Like, you're not opening this machine up.
All right,
Period.
so I haven't seen this up front, but on the 27-inch iMac that I'm running right now, there's a little door underneath the Apple logo, and that's where you put the RAM underneath like that. Okay, that's fine. Now on this new machine, I guess there's not even they don't have any way for you to update the RAM on this thing. So if you
No, it doesn't even look like there's any way to open it or anything.
I don't know if I like that because if you think about it, I bought this thing with what did I buy it with? 4 gig, 8 gig, I don't remember. And then I wound up buying two 8 gigabyte chips. So now I've got 20 gig in this machine. That means that you and I both know that Apple RAM is always very expensive. So if we want 20 gig in an iMac, we're going to have to pay the Apple tax on the RAM, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I know. We've, gone forever without having to do that, just getting the bare minimum and then getting RAM upgrades after the fact and just doing it yourself.
Yep.
And we kind of went over this and griped about it a little bit when the Retina 15 came out. I'm to the point where, it's a trade-off. There's pros and cons, and that's kind of always been the case with Apple stuff. Why do you choose to go Apple, the dreaded walled garden versus anything else? Well, there's trade-offs, Do you want it to work considerably better, be higher quality, all of these things in the pro column. And then the con is, well, you're just not going to be able to replace parts on your own. You're going to have somebody else do it, and you're just going to have to give up that whole aspect of being a computer owner.
Sure.
Some people don't care, and some people are like, well, I'm not fixing it myself anyway, so I don't give a damn. And I think it's a trade-off, and it's kind of a personal choice that maybe you don't care, or maybe you do care, and so you're going to go buy or build your own PC,
Yeah. So
I don't think it knocks it down considerably either way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess in that respect, I'm happy that I got this iMac when I did, or else I'd be paying a lot of money for 20 gigabytes of RAM. The 8 gig is the minimum on this thing, and pricing starts at $12.99. I guess that's for the 21 inch.
Yeah, so that's
there it is. Yeah, and $17.99 for the 27.
They're both, I believe, $100 more than they used to be. Small jump.
Yeah.
Oh, and we forgot to mention, the Mac Mini is $100 more, so small jump on that price. And then the iMacs, the 21 inch doesn't start shipping until next month, and the 27 doesn't ship until December. So it's a little bit of a wait there.
Yeah. So I'm not in the mindset that I could have waited because I couldn't have. So I'm fine with this. And for those people that maybe bought an iMac recently, I don't know if I would consider this to be a it's a major upgrade in some ways and just a side grade in others. Like, for example, the Fusion Drive, some people may not care about. People like you and me that use Photoshop and all this video stuff, and I use Xcode a lot, for us, maybe it's okay. For people that just like a big machine with a big monitor and do nothing but sit there and write documents all day, may not be a big deal. No Retina display. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because as a developer, I have to look at both a Retina and non-Retina screens all the time to make sure that everything is working properly. However, the iMac that I have, the 27-inch, the monitor is big enough where I don't have to worry about that too much. So it's not that big of a deal for me either. That's why you and I were talking both offline and during the show over the last few months, saying, well, if a Retina iMac came out, would I care? Now that I just got this thing, no, not really. So I'd like to hear from people what they think about this and whether or not they feel that it's a big jump for them or not.
I was thinking after, and I'm thinking about whether or not I would buy this. And I still think I would probably stick with a MacBook Pro and an Apple display, a Thunderbolt display, which they're going to update now to be like the same case design as this new iMac. Sure. But since we have one of, I think it's a year old, we have a 27-inch at home, and we just replaced like a couple months ago its hard drive and its graphics card because they were fried because it's our gaming machine.
The heat issue, yeah. I worry
iMacs
about that.
Traditionally, do not get a lot of airflow through them. So I started thinking about this guy, which is a lot thinner. Everything's a lot more packed in. It doesn't seem like there'd be, huge strides in the way airflow is put through there. So it's probably the same thing, but pressed together, so possibly worsened. Is heat going to be an even worse issue with these thinner iMacs?
Yeah.
If I start gaming on that guy, is it only going to last 6 months?
I don't know. Like, I'm touching the back of this thing now, and this thing is really hot. I mean,
the tops of them, yeah.
Like, ow, that hurt. Okay, I'm trying to see how long I can keep my hand there. I mean, the thing is, like, down the bottom of this thing, it's warm, but it's very comfortable.
It's the top that gets the hottest. I'm not sure why that is, but
yeah, that's hot. Holy crap, man. So this has vent holes in the back, right? Yeah. See,
there's one long strip on the back top, and then the vents in the bottom where you insert the RAM, and that's it.
There's air like flying out of this thing. I never really checked this before the entire time I've had it. Obviously, this is from the fans, but yeah, they're blowing a lot of air.
It's
you know what this thing is? This is like a heater, almost.
Yeah,
I'm not
if you
kidding.
were sitting behind it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like with my Mac Pro in the winter, I would not have to turn on the air. Like if there's nobody home and I'm home by myself. This room would be 10 to 15 degrees hotter than the rest of the house because of the Mac Pro alone. And I'm wondering if this thing would do the same thing to this room.
Probably. Or at least close to it.
And your last note here, I love this. What's your last note on the new iMac?
Just, thinking about how sweet looking this new case is, and how thin it is and just how far they've come in the design of the iMac and in all-in-one computers in general, and just how futuristic this new iMac design looks. I can't see movies and TV shows using any other computer from now on. Anytime they need an establishing shot or just somebody, an artist, or really just anybody with a computer in the background, I don't see why they wouldn't use this new iMac. It is sweet looking.
Now for the hard part.
Yeah. Are you guys sitting down, everybody? Right. Like, just a disclaimer.
No, wait a minute.
Especially you just bought an iPad 3.
We did see, to be fair, pictures of a potential new iPad with nothing more than the difference of the Lightning port. Now, at the time, all we thought was that it was just going to be the same iPad 3 with a Lightning port.
They swap out the case. No big deal.
And nothing else. No. We got a whole brand new iPad 4th generation, and I just went, whoa, WTF.
Calling it the iPad 4, and granted, it's still, they really didn't upgrade anything besides the processor and the Lightning connector, but apparently they considered that a substantial enough upgrade to consider this the 4th gen iPad. What is it, 8 months later? Sorry, guys.
7
months later?
Now,
sorry.
I'm a little pissed because this is similar to when 2 months after the iPhone was, not the original iPhone, I think the iPhone 3 G. I don't remember exactly which one. It was not the 4. It was before the 4. They dropped the price $200 2 months after its release. That was which one?
The first one. The first one.
Oh, was it the first one?
Yeah, that's when I bought it.
I don't
Because
remember.
when the first one came out, we were struggling, to like, we were both college students. I'm like, oh God, how are we going to buy a $500 phone? And then it dropped to $200 and we're like, that's it. We both bought it like that day.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was that one.
The 4 gig 2G.
And Apple wound up giving people a rebate.
A little rebate.
Now, this is what I don't understand about Apple sometimes, is that you and I both are Apple fans, but we're not like stupid fanboy girl people, right? We know enough about the business where we're like, if something is stupid, we'll call it stupid, regardless. So what I don't understand about the whole manufacturing system is this. Apple knew that they were able to use an there's an A6X processor in this thing. So 8 months ago, did we need to have an iPad 3 with an A6? And couldn't it have waited just a few more months? Like,
no, see, the iPad 3 doesn't have the A6 processor. The iPhone 5 does. I went back and checked this.
That's okay.
Sure.
That's
the
right.
iPad 3 has an A5X processor in it.
That's right.
So that's what is it? Dual core CPU, quad core graphics, I think.
Yeah.
And,
all right.
And then, so this is a full step up and a half step up from the iPhone 5.
All right. So, all right. Still, my point is,
yeah,
if they knew that this thing was coming out, why couldn't they have just waited a little bit longer? Because people love their iPad 2s. And I didn't think that they really needed to get that iPad 3 out in competition with anything else, except maybe the Nexus 7. But
okay, yeah.
Did they jump the gun because of the Nexus 7? And then just
possibly. Or possibly just to, drag out and dominate the news cycle more. I don't know. I mean, it's surprising. A lot of people complain that even every year upgrades is too much. And now, this is well under a year. I know, again, another guy at work who just bought the iPad 3 like 40 days ago. So he's just outside the 30-day window. Oh. And he was just stomping around so pissed when he's heard that. I heard that Apple is being a little bit lenient on the iPad 3 purchases if they were purchased within 30 days of today. So if that's you, if you purchased it, and even if you purchased it at Best Buy, I would still, what's the worst case scenario? Just go see, because you're not fully returning it. Even if you just get store credit, you want, the newest one. Mm-hmm. You bought, that iPad with knowledge of thinking that it was the newest and latest and greatest, and that's not something that you did. Yeah. It was something that Apple did by announcing a whole new one like 30 days later. So
here's what I understand, what I don't understand. Things are moving in technology very, very fast now, faster than they used to. So here we have a life cycle of a device that's 7 months and not and like you were saying, even a year is sometimes considered to be too short. Mm-hmm. But in this competitive mobile age, I agree. I agree. I see your point, but I disagree because at the same time, what Apple is doing with their hardware and software is different than what like Microsoft and Google is doing with their stuff. So you sort of have to. So it's like, what this reminds me of? This reminds me of ATI and NVIDIA. If you remember, there used to be this point where one would beat the other, and then the other one would just jump up, and the life cycles between the two just kept going, bumping every 2 or 3 months. It's sort of like that in a way. And so now we have this whole 4th gen iPad with an A6X instead of an A5X, and I don't know, how do you feel about this? I mean, are you mad?
I'm really not that mad about it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I kind of feel like I should be madder than I am, but I was stoked to get uh, the iPad 3 when I got it, and I don't know that I would have wanted to wait 7 more months. Even if it's faster, because I went from an iPad 1 to an iPad 3, so it was a good upgrade. I mean, I don't know. I guess kind of like people who had the iPad 2 and were thinking about going to the iPad 3, they're just kind of, oh, I don't know, it's just like a little kind of bump. Yeah, sure, I got to have like 2 charging cables everywhere now because I got, the iPad 3 with the 30 pin and my iPhone 5 with the 9 pin, but, worse, I mean, first world problems for sure. But that aside, I'm really not that pissed off about it. I'm surprised that they're still keeping the iPad 2 around.
Yeah,
so
they are.
This 4th gen is totally replacing the 3. That just disappears into the ether. And we have the new 4th gen, and then at the same pricing and everything that the iPad 3 was at. Pre-order start this Friday, and then they start shipping out November 2nd. And then we have the iPad 2 still, for some reason.
Yeah.
And then we have the brand new iPad mini.
The iPad mini. Now, we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
It's so cute. 7.9 inches, which is this is important. It's the same resolution as the first gen iPad, which is 1024 by 768. The reason why it's important is because developers like me don't have to worry about dealing with another resolution. That was one of the things I was worried about. It's like, oh, do I have to do another one? No, you don't. So I was expecting a new version of Xcode and all that. No. None of that.
Yeah. I had a feeling that was going to happen, that it's the easiest way to just kind of slide in that new iPad right in to that point, so then it's not a huge interruption. And, similarly to the Apple TV, that's always like, oh, another screen, that we have to size up for. No. So they didn't say anything about the processor in this one, which is kind of weird. Camera on the back is 5 megapixels.
I saw that.
FaceTime HD camera on the front, whatever that is. They never mentioned how many megapixels the FaceTime HD is. It's HD. Why? What more do you need to know? It's HD. Stop. Shh. It's not Retina.
Which I didn't expect.
I thought this would be Retina.
You did? I thought that it wouldn't be, because I figured what they're trying to do is maybe push into the education market, and they wanted to keep the cost down.
Yeah. I mean, that totally makes sense, even though the price. They didn't really do that good job at keeping the cost down. But I thought at the smaller screen size, even though it's using the same resolution as the first gen, but on a smaller screen, that it would be close to Retina, but I guess close is still not Retina, so they can't really say Retina.
Yeah. LTE and Wi-Fi. I was surprised at the LTE also. Again, because I figured they would want. I wasn't really sure what market they were going for with this thing. There was speculation that this whole presentation today was going to be about education.
Yeah.
And it was very little about education. I was surprised at that, because I expected this iPad mini. For one thing, I expected the iPad mini to be the centerpiece of the entire thing, and it looks like you said before, that it was the new iMac instead. I expected an iPad mini with the 7 or 8 inch screen, as we saw, Lightning connector and all that. No LTE, no Retina display. For
just
a price that was a little
bones.
cheap. Yeah, bare bones, get it in the schools. That's what I was expecting. And instead, we have an iPad mini, which it does compete on some level with the Android tablets. But so if you're going to compete against Android, then I suppose you really do have to put the LTE in there.
Well, it kind of begs a question now. Can you put out a mobile device in this day and age that doesn't have LTE?
Well, I'll answer that by
even do that without being, a laughing stock.
Here's the thing. Before LTE was out for the iPhone, and while I was still using my laptop on a much more regular basis outside of the house, I still have the Verizon MiFi with 4G LTE on it. So you can sell these things, but I guess it depends on two factors. One, whether or not you have a MiFi, and two, whether or not your carrier on one of your devices allows you to do tethering without beating the crap out of you financially. Because there are some carriers that'll say, "Oh, you want to do tethering? All right," and they wind up charging almost twice as much as it does for just having a regular MiFi. And in my opinion, that's ridiculous because you're still getting the damn data. What does it matter where it comes from? Why does it have to cost so much?
Interesting side note on that, just because I had to go into the AT&T store for today. And I don't know when this happened. It had to have happened somewhat recently. AT&T, and I don't know if this is the same on Verizon, has condensed pretty much all of their data plans for iOS devices, at least. There used to be 2 of each data plan. So you'd have like a 3 gigabyte data plan and then a 3 gig with tethering, 5 gig and then 5 gig with tethering. They've condensed all of those, so there's only 3 gig with tethering, 5 gig with tethering. So each one is with tethering no matter what, which makes it a lot simpler and easier for consumers. But like you said, really kind of makes sense because I was like, I'm still using data. What do you care?
Yeah. All right. Let me talk a little bit about this is short. I went to Best Buy today, and I went there specifically because I had to buy an HDMI cable. The Apple TV that we have apparently didn't work with the HDMI cable that I had. It was flaking a lot. So as I'm walking,
stop buying those off the trucks.
No, no, it actually came from Microsoft, but that's a whole different issue. I think it was a Microsoft HDMI cable. No, I think that it wasn't the speed wasn't fast enough, so I would turn on the Apple TV and it would go blip 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 and it didn't know what to do. I bought a new cable and fired right up. Anyway, so I'm in Best Buy and I'm walking towards the cable section, and as I'm walking by, the salesman was trying to sell an iPad to an older gentleman with LTE, and the all I heard was the guy say, if you're somewhere that doesn't have Wi-Fi, then you'll have no way of getting a data connection. And that's all I heard, and then I worked even further. So your point about whether or not you can sell a device today without LTE, or any cellular data for that matter, I guess it depends on how important cellular data is to people outside their Wi-Fi.
No, I mean, that's still true. And I feel like for tablets, there's a little more leeway. But I think generally speaking, for mobile devices, the iPad or the iPhone the iPhone 5 was like the last to get LTE, and it was like laughed at it because it took so long, and so
it did take a while.
In that kind of environment, like, oh, okay, finally everyone has LTE now. iPhone's got it. Okay, we're all happy. Like, can you release another product that doesn't have it? Like, you can't go backwards from that.
Yeah, I think that. Well, see, I don't know. I have this idea that someday in the United States we're going to get just as good cellular plans as they have over in Europe.
And then unicorns are going to prance up to my window and eat oats from my hand.
I really thought that at some point when the iPhone and the original Nexus came out, that carriers were finally going to realize that consumers could go to other places and the carrier still won't lose a lot of money, but it looks like that's not going to happen because look what we have now. Anyway,
one day
maybe, but you see, something like that is going to take a long time. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen in a year or two. It's going to take years for somebody, some company, to finally say, look, let's just do what's right for the consumer. But I know you laugh at that because then people in this country go like, what's good for the consumer? No. What do you think this is, Europe?
Yeah, right. Socialist. Okay, so back to the iPad Mini.
Yeah.
They come in pretty much the same color option the iPad as the iPhone 5, the white and silver and black. Yay!
Yeah.
This looks slick. I really like the black one. It looks really nice.
Yeah.
And then the pricing. Again, tons of rumors flying about where Apple was going to land on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? They landed higher than the highest estimates.
Yeah, I really thought that they would have done this for $299. It's $329 for the 16 gig. Now, this is where I get a little concerned about this because Apple, yeah, they make a lot of money. They put out good products. We love them to death, but $329 for a 16 gig in a competitive market like this, why not drop it to $299? You lose $30 off of each one, but you're gaining, I would think. And this is why I'm not an economist, because I always wondered, there's got to be a point, a sweet spot, where you can drop a price enough where you get more people to buy your product at the cheaper price, but you're still not losing a lot of money.
Totally. Not sacrificing like brand or quality or anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like this almost makes it feel like the iPad Mini is kind of the bait and switch for the iPad 2. You know, for $70 more, you're getting a 10-inch tablet.
Ooh.
You know, why? Like, I really didn't think they would go higher than $299. I thought that would be the sweet spot. But I guess because the iPod Touch now is $299, they couldn't have those two be the same price.
Right. That's
I
right.
don't know.
Why is the iPod Touch that much money? Now that I look at things like this,
The iPad Touch used to be $149, and when the new one came out, they raised it to $299.
For 16 gig?
I think so.
That does seem a little high, doesn't it?
It does. It's for, you know, essentially a device that's really for kids.
No, you're absolutely right. Let me just check on this. Store iPod. So here we go. iPod Touch is 19. Oh, here. Oh, this one.
The new one.
The new one here. Oh, yeah. God. Well, but to be fair,
they kept the old one. I know.
No. But to be fair, it starts at 32 gig.
Oh,
for
okay.
$299. So that's why I asked before if it was 16 gig.
Okay.
But still, I still think that an iPod Touch for $299 does seem a little high, even for a 32 gig device.
Yeah, it does.
Apple may be pricing this device out of existence.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean,
well, I can go on and on about that. Well, basically, it just comes down to this: is that if you need a phone, why would you buy an iPod Touch for $299 for 32 gig when you can buy a phone for a little bit more?
The only reason you don't want your kid to have a phone.
But then you would not for a kid. Kids don't.
That's
care
the only thing I
about,
can think of.
And I agree with you to a point, except kids don't give a rat's ass about whether or not it's a 4th gen or a new one. They just want their music to run.
Yeah, so get them the old one. Get them one off eBay. I don't know.
I'm going to have to take a better look at
They'll
this.
care about the colors. Those new ones, you know. They'll know.
Yeah. Did you mention that the pre-order is today?
I don't know if it starts today. I couldn't find because the iPad 4's pre-orders start Friday, so I think the pre-orders might start Friday for the iPad Mini as well, because they ship on November 2nd, just like the iPad 4s do. So I'm thinking, I was just guessing today, but they never really said, so I'm guessing Friday is probably going to be the date.
It's Friday. It says, I'm on the site right now. It says pre-order yours starting October 26th. So there you go.
Forget about that Microsoft Surface and go pre-order a Mini.
The smart covers are kind of cute.
They have little mini smart covers on them.
Well,
they're
not
so
only
cute.
I like the neon colors, and they all come with their own can of Aquanet. So the 80s are back.
Indeed, they're so hip.
They are. Let's see. You have listed here the iPad 2. We went over that.
Yeah.
Still for sale, $399. You have a question mark exclamation point at that, and I agree with you. Seems a little strange. I didn't know about this. There's a new Compare Max feature in the store.
Yeah, when the store came back up today after the announcement. Oh, and side note, Apple live streamed the event today,
Yes,
which
they
was
did.
an unexpected nicety. Hopefully, they'll keep that up. Um, but after because the store was down for the entire event, and then when it came back up after the event, the store portion of Apple.com has a new Compare Macs feature, which is really kind of nice.
Why can't I find? Oh, here it is. Compare Mac models. It's up
Yeah,
top.
you have to like kind of drill down and choose one, and then it'll compare models for you.
Mac Pro. No, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
do that.
don't look at that too much.
Torture myself. All right, well, that's interesting. So you have a couple of items here that are not related to today. Do you want to go over this real quick?
Yeah. We might as well. Apple loses in the appeals court over tablets in the UK. Must publicly apologize to Samsung.
Wow.
This is silly.
It's so funny because, like, in this country, Apple wins. In another country, they lose, and
Yeah.
it's
different all over.
this whole thing is a mess. And I understand that Apple is doing this because they want to protect themselves. And again, I've been in a situation where somebody actually did steal some of my resources using ResEdit years ago, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, but at the same time, it's blown out of proportion so much, and now Apple has to publicly apologize to Samsung for what? Winning in the United States? It just seems kind of silly to have to do a public apology in one country when you've won a substantial amount of money in another. So
I would imagine if I were Sam's lawyers, they're like, well, if we knew going into this that we weren't going to get money and just a public apology,
That's
then
true.
we probably wouldn't have gone into it at all. Like,
you
that's
do
not
have
the
a right. You do have a point.
the restitutions we were looking for, So, but speaking of money,
we mentioned last week. Well, at the time when we were recording last week, we weren't sure what was going on with this. Apple was supposedly buying Color Labs. It turns out that they're not buying the company; they're buying only 20 engineers. Color Lab still gets to stay its own entity, but
kind of.
Kind of.
Minus 20 engineers.
I know it's like, well, we stripped the engine, the brakes, and the drivetrain, and everything else.
Yeah, but now you have these nice
you,
new center blocks.
you have this shell. Yeah. So they just bought the engineers. That was it. Okay.
Yeah. Good luck now. I can't imagine they have much more than 20 engineers working there.
Yeah.
So they were already like barely, skipping along the bottom there with the people they had. Like, I don't know what they're going to do now, but yeah, have fun.
We'll see. All right, we're done. You got to go.
Yeah, that was fun. So until next week, we are the Infinite Loop Show on Google Plus. On the Facebook, we are at Infinite Loop TV on the Twitters. I am at Casey Queso, the Casey, not the cheese. You are at Star Mike.
Yes.
We are the Infinite Loop Show at gmail.com. Please send your emails complaining about prices, upgradability, and the new iMacs, how awesome my hair looks. How fantastic Mike's Apple shirt is. And do leave us a review on iTunes for our fantastic podcast.
That's right.
40 episodes, almost a year.
Yeah, a year of tons of fun and laughs and Apple news, and we'll just keep doing this. Damn it. All right. Thanks for watching, listening. And speaking about watching, Justin.tv/Nexicon. We usually do the Infinite Loop Show on Wednesday nights, but we're just doing it today because of the event. And also, you can follow us at Nexicon.com. That's where all the shows are.
All the shows.
Do all the shows. All right. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
What do you like?
I like Max and Ham and Sasuke.